Here is my deck area, and we have a lot of work planned for this area this year. So I recently got this planter box with the trellis, which is really quite nice, and we just sprayed that to protect it. I also have tons of containers going around this area, which I just started putting soil in. And I'm going to start doing some planting. This is going to be more like a potager garden up on the deck, so I have vegetables, some of the ones I use all the time close, like lettuce and maybe a couple of cherry tomatoes. As we take a look at this here, and I'll do a before video, my husband put a full set of stairs going completely across this area, so I had a display bed for some of my containers. I'm going to have flowers and perennials, and this area is not staged by any means. I just have it here as a placeholder while we wait for them to come into bloom, and then I'll rearrange them. And I did some different experiments with my spring bulbs and containers. These containers are really behind the ones that are in the garden because I think they were sunk in the ground and got a little wetter than they should have been. I'll do it differently next year when I store them over winter. This area here is my triangle garden, which is right next to my deck, and I have some work to do in here this spring. I have some old weeds that need to get out. Here's some weeds that I need to get rid of. Last summer I actually pruned this lilac. This is a bloomering lilac because it was blocking my window. And it's coming along really nice. I pruned it really hard. You might want to check out that video, how to prune a bloomering lilac. But I pruned it hard and it's coming. It's got lots of blossoms on it, which is nice. These are some Daffodils I have coming, and then I have some oriental lilies coming in here, which take quite a bit of time, but they're coming. And then this is one of my clematises. This is my Rebecca clematis, and you can see it's starting to come up really nice. And I just recently picked up this trellis. I had an old one. I got to level. It's a little crooked, but yeah, this is looking pretty good. This is my potting area. My outdoor potting area / tree nursery. So I just potted up some blueberries this week, and I have some high bush cranberries, and I have some white pines. I potted up over 40 pines, and so we're gonna let those sit in the nursery and take hold for a little bit, and then when I have time, probably this fall, I'll start doing some planting. But we really want them to be healthy and take off before I do that. I have some grasses here that I nurseried over winter. I hope they all come. They usually should. It's a red flame grass. I have two different kinds of moss there, a Scotch moss and an Irish moss. And I believe the Scotch moss is the lighter green. I have some pots and stuff over there. I've got some potting to do. But yeah, it's just kind of a nice area I used in the corner of my yard. I have a video on how I transformed this space. Was just a blank space. If you want to check that out as well. This little garden is what I refer to as my hosta garden. I do have hostas here and there, but this is the lion's share of the hostas. I'm going to need to restore this area this year. It needs a facelift. Some of the stuff is getting pretty overgrown. It's starting to come. I've got some wild daisies coming here. And then I've got some nice tulips. I think these are yellow and red. They're the only combination I had. And these were probably planted 12 to 13 years ago. I'm going to dig those out of there and use them in a different area of the yard. Got my little Tin Man, which was a Father's Day present I had given to my father. He passed away a few years ago, and I told Mom I wanted it back for my garden, so to remember my dad. We got all kinds of hostas that are just starting to come. They just finally started pushing through. I have some woodland flowers in here. These are globe flowers, and they're a member of the buttercup family, and they got a nice yellow flower on it. And some more irises that are just starting to come, as well as a hydrangea here. And here on this path, along the path here, I got some coral bells, and I got some violas that come up every year. And then I've got some woodland flowers here that I think I'm going to dig out and move to my woodland garden. And there's other ones coming as well. As you come in the driveway, you always have this nice weeping willow to greet you. And right now it is in flower, actually. And the catkins are coming along, and they're going to drop, and it's going to be ugly on my ground. So I thought I would get some video before that happens. But this is just to give you a perspective as if you're coming up the driveway. You see how lovely everything looks as it starts to bloom. And I'll change out the pots throughout the growing season with some different annuals or whatever else I have blooming. So this is the area that I refer to as my fairy garden, and the reason I call it a fairy garden is because this is where I'm going to have fairy statues, which I have 2 of them that I've put out. Just finally got them, and it's finally nice enough so I can put them out. This little guy is Peter, and he's playing the flute, so he's kind of fun. And then right over here, this little statue is called Emily, a little fairy statue. They're really cute, and I really like the green because it blends in like a woodland almost. So this is really the first week of the tulips really kind of getting underway here, where I'm getting a lot of them, not just 1 or 2. And so here we have some tulips blooming, and I have one iris that, 1 or 2 maybe. One iris that just started, and this is a different variety. I'll have to look it up. Look at my old video. This is just a really lovely iris that's blooming. I'll try to add the names of the flowers in the video for everybody. So one of the things that I like to do is have the decorative pots, and then to have, I'll change out whatever I have in it. So right now I have some temporary evergreens in here, and then I potted up some containers. I need to change some things out because you can see the inserts are above the cover pot, which I don't like. And I don't necessarily like the color of these pots. They faded over the winter. I'll probably change it up for something else, but for right now it's about enjoying the tulips for me. I had some winter kill on the boxwood along the driveway, and I went and did a prune job this week, so we'll see. Hopefully that comes back, or I'll have to replace it with something else. So this is a bench that I have as a focal point, and maybe next week or the week after, those flowers or the tulips that are around it will start blooming. And I did flank each side of the bench with a gladiator allium too, so it should look pretty good. If we get up here and look at it. So here are my lilacs. These are old-fashioned lilacs, and you can see the buds are starting to come. The flowers are starting to come. They're still closed, but within the next week or 2 they're going to start opening, and I'll have lilacs for almost 2 weeks in different stages. Again, if this is your first time here, this is a group of lilacs. This is on the front edge of the property, and it runs, I don't know, 50 to 100 feet here across the front, which is just really nice. As I come along the edge of the lilacs here, to get a little bit better close up, you can see my forsythia. It just started blooming, so maybe I'll make a nice bouquet this week. We'll see how much time I have, but this is really nice. It's nice yellow. And here you can see my Dutch garden is almost in full bloom. I call it a Dutch garden because I put the spring bulbs in there after visiting Keukenhof in the Netherlands, which is just wonderful if you ever get a chance to go. So I decided to give the tour on the Dutch garden this week on the outside, looking in, so you can see across the multiple layers. It's really nice because a lot of my tulips that are kind of tucked in other plantings and the mass plantings I have, like the hyacinths here, just started coming, so they just look really lovely. And as you go around, you can see the daffodils that are down the path just look beautiful as well. These are some geraniums. The particular variety are Johnson Blue, and so when they come up, they'll bloom for quite a while. They're just quite lovely. They're nice purpley blue color. Again, we have a focal point here, another bench that we have in the garden. A lot of daffodils, and I have the red tulips tucked in between them, are just starting to come up. And here is another grouping of some daffodils and some little tulips that are coming. I wasn't sure what color. I thought the daffodils were supposed to be peach. Apparently the throats are peach and the tulips are orange, so that's why I kind of got screwed up. But if you watch some of my other videos, but this is just really lovely as well, a nice planting. We'll just keep moving around towards the other end. Got lots of stuff coming here, which are blooming a little bit later. I have a bird bath I'm going to put in this area too. I always like waiting until the lilies come up, so I know where to put them. I do have some violas in this garden as well coming, which I really like. They ramble around and they really don't cause me too many problems, so it's a nice flower that will come back year after year. Here is some tall garden phlox that's just starting to come. And then here are some other tulips that are a little bit later. Can't remember what it's called, but I will link it below. We'll continue going around here. This is a sweet woodruff that I'm going to move, and I'm going to put in that other area, or I'm going to change the walking path, and I'm going to just let it creep on the ground. If you're enjoying this garden tour, give us a thumbs up so YouTube knows to share this content with other people. Also, consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our great content. Here is another planting of the hyacinths and some tulips, and then the backdrop you can see across the garden where there is some daffodils. And of course, a plane overhead. And as we can continue down, you can see I've got some more things coming, some more irises and lilies. And these are alliums that are coming. One of the things I was hoping for the alliums is that they would reseed and fill in. And I let the seeds just drop. I did not deadhead them because I wanted them to do that. And I'm delighted to see that is actually happening. All the grass-like items in front there, those are actually baby alliums. And it might take a couple years for them to mature, but I was really happy to see it. And you can see that I've got some nice, this is a nice view of the tulips, daffodils in this area, and I have some hyacinths that are dying back as well. This is a really nice view of some tulips that I got here. I'm gonna have to look up what these are. I got these in a big bulk bag years ago when I planted it. The hyacinths have certainly been the star of the show for this garden this year. They've been blooming for almost over a month, which is really nice. This little area here is what I refer to as my woodland garden. I planted them amongst all of these sumac trees, so it'll be quite shady when it gets to the heat of the summer. But they have what they need here now, which is full sun. And I think I've got 3 or 4 different varieties. It was a couple mixes. This is a standard yellow daffodil with a large bell. And I've got one there that has a little bit more of an orange throat on it. And then I have some white ones that are coming on the other side, but they're just really nice. Here I have a fern leaf bleeding heart in here, and I have some Dutch irises. So the ferns that I put in there are just starting to come now, which is really nice. And then I did put some Empress hosta, which are very large. They're just starting to pop up as well. This is again what I refer to as my woodland garden. So along the edge I've got the ferns that are coming, which will be really nice. I think I'm going to transform this and put a little bit of more woodland flowers on this border. I've got some wood anemones I'm going to put in here. I'll pick some other things that will do well. The trees that you see around here are sumac. They have not started budding out yet. They're pretty late, which is a wonderful thing to put the daffodils, which need the sun underneath them. and then they can go to sleep, and then the shade garden or the woodland type of flowers can do well. So here's another view. Here I have my first tulip in front of my vegetable garden. It's just a little area right out front the garden gate. So I put a few perennials in. Other than that, I usually use annuals in here. At the back of my vegetable garden, I have my rhubarb, and that's really coming along. It's really grown a lot. I'll see if I have some other video clips to cut in so you can just see how much it's changed. So here are the privets. They're coming along, and where I had pruned them later in the fall, I should not have pruned them as late as I did. It was August, I think. And anything that took off and it was just too green, it didn't winter well. So I won't do that again. But I have privet head all the way down and around the courtyard garden here. And I put some alliums in, which have not started popping open yet, but they're getting close. So that'll be really a nice display. If we walk along here, you can kind of see they're coming along. And last year the hardwood is looking really good. It's nice and green along the line. And my grapes have not started coming yet. They're usually slow to come. I think I got a couple things that are maybe coming. Oh, it looks like I got a couple buds. So these are like my first buds. Well, there's my first buds right there. There's my first buds that are coming on the grapes. I always think they're dead, but they always come. So I got to do some cleanup out here too. It's been raining and windy and just normal spring for the Midwest. Difficult sometimes to find time to get outside. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.